Page 24, passage 12. स यथा सैन्दवखिल्यः उदके प्रास्तः उदकमेव अनुविलीयेत न अस्य उद्ग्रहणाय एव स्यात् यतो एतस्तु आदतीत लवणम् एव एवं वा अरे इदं महद्भूतम् अनन्तम् अपारं विज्ञानघन एव एतेभ्यो भूतेभ्यः समुत्थाय तान्येवानुविनश्यति न प्रेत्य संज्ञास्ति इत्यरे ब्रवीमि इति होवाच याज्ञवल्क्यः स यथा सैन्दवखिल्यः उदके प्रास्तः उदकम् एव अनुविलीयेत. Just as a lump of salt dropped into water dissolves in the water along with the water contained in the salt in the lump. Nasya udgarhana eva syat. You can no more retrieve that lump of salt having dropped into water. Yato edastu adadita lavanam eva. From wherever you pick up, you don't get the lump of salt. What you get is the salty taste. That's all you get. There's no more lump. It has dissolved into water, meaning that it is lost its individual now existence. It is not lost its being. So when the lump of salt is dropped in water, the lumpness is lost. The saltness is not lost. And therefore, yatahetas adadita lavanam eva. From wherever you pick up from that water, what is salt? Something has gone and something is retained. When the lump of salt is dropped in water, something is gone. What is gone? Lumpness. What is not gone? The saltness. Now, what goes is always incidental. The essential and incidental. As we said yesterday in this ornament, the form is incidental, subject to change, but the gold is essential, does not change. In the lump of salt, the form, the lumpness is incidental, it dissolves, but the saltness ever remains. So, what is important is what is essential. In everything, including ourselves, also, there is something incidental, something essential. Incidental, something that is subject to coming and going. Essential, that which never comes and goes. Evam vare idam mahadbhutam anantam aparam vijnana ghana eva. Similarly, Maitreyi, this entity, this reality is mahadbhutam anantam aparam. Mahat is great, bhutam the reality, anantam it is devoid of all ends, aparam boundless, vijnana ghana eva, nothing but the solid consciousness, merely consciousness. So Bhashyakar explains ghana means dense, dense consciousness. What is meant by dense is that it does not allow anything other than consciousness. Vijnana ghana, dense consciousness, meaning that all it is consciousness alone, nothing else is allowed there, or nothing else is present there. The language here then that sage uses is somewhat confusing. Etebhya bhutebhya samutthaya tanev anuvinashyati. etebhya bhutebhya samuthaya. The self comes out as a separate entity when it arises from these five elements, meaning that when the self identifies with this upadhi, which is made of five elements, then it becomes like an individual jiva, like a lump of consciousness. Tani eva anuvinashyati. When the five elements, are no more, then the jivatma, the lump also is no more. So this upadhi is made of five elements, and when the conscious self identifies with upadhi, it is like a jiva or a lump. And upadhi is no more, not in the physical sense, but when there is no more identification with the upadhi, then that notion of jiva, so jivatvam, notion of smallness also goes away. Because that I am a jiva is a notion, not a reality about me. That I am a lump is a notion that the salt has, not a reality. If what it is in reality is salt, well, it is found in a certain form, and salt looks at itself and finds itself in a form and concludes I am a lump. The lumpness is incidental, subject to coming and going. Before it became lump, it was nothing but ocean. After lumpness goes away, it is also ocean. In between lumpness came, it is incidental, not a reality. What is reality is what was before, what is after, and that is nothing but the ocean, the limitless. So this lump of jiva is something incidental because of identification with this Karyakana Sanghata, the body mind sense complex. And when that identification is gone, this Sanghata doesn't have to go physically. Even when the body is there, for the wise person, there is no sense of smallness because the identification with this small upadhi goes away. There is no need for the wise person to destroy the upadhi to feel freedom from smallness. Because smallness was never there even when it was thought to be there. Smallness, that I am small, I am jiva, is a notion, not a reality about I. Therefore, it goes away in the same manner that it came. How did it come? Because of identification. How does it go away? By being free from identification. Na pretya sanyasti. Hey Maitreyi, once you depart from this body, there is no sanya, there is no particular consciousness. So Bhashyakara explains that. If you look at page 26, the line number 8, न तत्र प्रेत्य विशेष संज्ञा अस्ति कार्यकरण संघातेभ्यः विमुक्तस्य कार्यकरण संघात. This complex of karya, the gross body, karana, the subtle body, karya karana sangatebhya vimuktasya. One who has become free from these gross and subtle bodies. How do you become free? By becoming free from the identification. But Atma is never confined. The sense of confinement is only because of identification. When that is there, goes, there is no more sense of confinement. There is called after pretya, after departing from this body. See, the word that is used called pretya. Pretya means departing from here. Therefore, the departed soul is called preta. So, pra plus e means to depart. Pretya means having departed from his body. That's what literally it means. The departing can be literally departing the body, or departing can be becoming free from identification of the body. Understand? The departure that Vedanta seeks is not just a departure physically from this body, because then we'll get so another body. The real death is the death characterized by freedom from identification. The death which is the separation of the subtle body from this gross body is only a station, because this subtle body then will identify with another gross body. The real death is when there is freedom because of knowledge, there is freedom from identification and freedom from the notion that I am limited because of the limitedness of the body superimposed upon I realize that the I itself is limitless. Prajnana gana eva, it is nothing but, I is nothing but the consciousness, anantaram, endless, aparam, boundless, limitless, pritya. Departing from this body, there is no more vishesh sanya, no more no particular notion about oneself that I am Maitreyi. So Vashyakara explains, line number 9, na nasti vishesh sanyati aham asau amushya putraha mama idam kshetram dhanam sukhi dukhi. What is sanya or the particular consciousness of ourselves? So what is meant by sanya or the particular consciousness is, I am so and so, I am the son of so and so, this is my wealth, this is my property, I am happy, unhappy. All of these notions or conclusions that one has about oneself is called sanya here. Sanya means awareness or consciousness or a particular name. So I keep on declaring myself, I am so and so, I'm the son of so and so forth. So as long as I'm identified with the body, then the sanya or the nomenclature of the body becomes my nomenclature, that I'm a man or a woman, I'm a son or daughter, I'm brother or sister, I'm wealthy or poor, I'm happy or unhappy. All of these which belong to this complex, because of taking this complex as I declare myself to be rich and poor, like an actor who is playing the role of a beggar is put on the costume of beggar. If for some reason he forgets his true identity, because in the green room he dressed himself up very well as a beggar, before coming to stage he looks at the big mirror to see how he is dressed and how he looks. And in the mirror he finds a beggar. So what is his conclusion is, I am beggar. Suppose it happens. No, Swami, it cannot happen. Suppose it happens. You see, after all, going to stage and performance is a very stressful job. Sometimes to relieve that stress, they have a little bit of. That is why many artists and performers who have to perform public, it's a very stressful job. They have to relieve themselves from stress to find them that they help themselves with some alcohol, etc. And then when that limit is not, observed, you can become alcoholic. That's a different matter. But alcohol is taken to feel sort of stress free, I guess. This fellow took a little bit too much. And therefore now he looks at the mirror and says, I'm beggar. then all the miseries of the beggar become his miseries. Is it not so? When he says, looks at the mirror and finds the beggar and concludes I'm a beggar, then now when he's begging on the roadside with a little cloth spread in front of him, some people throw a coin at him. Some people insult him also. Hey, come on, hatta katta, you are a healthy person, go and work, etc. So far he had no problem because he knew that he was acting as a beggar. Today something has happened and he thinks I'm a real beggar. Then everything that is told affects him. So somebody insulted him. A passerby. He got up and gave him one punch. And the curtain came down. The director comes and says, what did you do? Why did you punch? So why did he insult me? Huh? That he has to insult you is part of the role. That you punch is not part of the role. Meaning that he became the beggar. So instead of acting as a beggar, he became the beggar, and that's how he reacted. That's a story in our life that we very well entered this costume. Upanishad describes that Ishvara first created all these names and forms, all these costumes. Sometimes they call it all the dwellings, all the nests. And just as a bird enters a nest, so also Ishvara entered this nest. Or he created this costume and entered the costume. Well, without the costume, he cannot play roles, and therefore he needs to have a costume. But unfortunately, while putting on the costume, something happened. Let's go pravesha. Upanishad describes the pravesha or entry. That sruštva tadeva anupravishada. Having created this costume, Ishvara entered the costume. Meaning that Ishvara identified himself with this costume and now he claims, I am so and so. That's a story we are told. So it really happened? When did this happen? So many kathas are being told in the Upanishads also. This is a katha. Katha means an anecdote like thing or just to make us understand. When did this happen, Swami? If you ask that embarrassing question, I will have no answer. This Ishvara created this costume and entered. When did he do that, Swami? It's just a story. But the point is, enters means then he is identified with this costume. Anyway, Pretya, departing with the costume, therefore, can be two ways. Number one, physically departing from the costume. Or second one is what? Becoming free from identification of the costume. That is what is meant by Pretya, having departed from the costume. Say Yajnavalkya says to Maitreyi, having departed from his costume, meaning that Shastracharyopadeshena Brahma Vidyaya. Because Upadesha, the instruction given by the Acharya, in keeping Shastra Tattvamasi, you are that. Who is you? You are Brahman, which you? And so the teacher makes me look at what is meant by you, who am I really? And makes me see that this body, sense organs, mind, I am not. Conscious that I am is Brahman. Shastracharyopadeshena Brahma Vidyaya. So it is by the imparting of the knowledge of Brahman that this one discovers that I am no more this body, mind, sense complex. That's called departing from this complex. Departing from the body means giving up the identification with the body. In this particular case, the pretya sannyasti, then says, say Jnanavalkya, Pretya, having departed from this body, sanya nasti, there is no specific identification, no notion about the self. I'm so and so, I'm the son of so and so, I'm Sukhi, Dukhi, Dhani. All these notions about oneself are no more there. Why? Avidya krutatva tasyaha. Because all of these sanya, the notions, are born of ignorance. Avidyayascha Brahma Vidya Nirandvayana Nashitatva. And ignorance is compared to darkness. Knowledge is compared to light. And just as the light completely dispels darkness, so also knowledge completely dispels ignorance. And therefore, all these notions born of ignorance are also no more there. The product of ignorance are also not there. Just as in a hall like this, if in the evening, if all suppose electricity is lost and then there's pitch darkness in the hall, then when you enter the hall, it's quite likely that you may come, you don't see people and then you may topple over. So not only you don't see people or don't see entities, but you topple over because you collide against them. The light comes, not only darkness goes away, but then the consequences of darkness also go away, meaning that you no more collide with anything. Similarly, when ignorance goes away, the consequence of ignorance also go away. What's the consequence? I'm Maitreyi, I'm so and so, I'm son of so and so, I'm Sukhi Dukhi. All of these are products of ignorance. They also go away along with ignorance. That is what is meant by the pretya sanyasti. Pretya, having departed from this body, no sanya, no more notions about the self remain. Avidyascha Brahma Vidya Niranvayena Niranvayata Nashitatvat. Because the ignorance is totally destroyed, dispelled by knowledge. Kuta Vishaya Sagnya Sambhava Brahmavidaha. Therefore, how can an over Brahman have any more notions about the self? I mean, notions that we have about ourselves. That I'm a Swami is a notion about myself. I'm somebody's son is a notion about myself. I'm Sukhi Dukhi are all notions about myself, not reality about myself. And how are these notions born? Because of identifying with one or the other aspect of my personality. I identify the body, then I claim that I am son of so and so. I identify the mind as I'm happy, unhappy. I identify the ego, I say I'm successful, I'm not successful. I'm great, I'm small. So all these notions arise in my mind on account of identification with one or the other aspect of my personality. When that identification is, all these notions are also gone. These notions are a cause of misery. The notions that I'm so and so, I'm son of so and so, I'm happy, and each one of these notions is the cause of sorrow. See, yesterday, son, sorrow. Father, sorrow. He said yesterday, the father thinks of his son, 18-year-old, school dropout, riding the bicycle that, of course, he extracted from his father. He's removed the silencer from the motorcycle, does not button his shirts. He displays a chain given by his mother in his broad chest, and then he rides on his motorcycle. Father thinks of his son and has a blood pressure. So each one of these notions is a potential source of misery. And that all goes away, all the cause of misery goes away, all the notions go away. Sanya means the notion about oneself. Sanya can be named, that is, a particular notion about myself. Vishesh Sanya no padyate. No particular notions now are possible. Every day also a time comes, a state comes when we become free from all these notions. When is that? Remember? When is the time? When we also become free from all these notions? When we are in deep sleep. What? Tatra pita apita bhavati, mata amata, the father no more remains father. In deep sleep, mother no more remains mother. Thief no more remains thief. King no more remains king. Why should it be so? Because in the deep sleep, we are totally free from the identification with this body, sense, mind complex. Then only we can fall asleep. Sometimes there is some pain in the body and it does not leave me, then I remain aware or conscious of the body. I can't fall asleep. Headache, I can't fall asleep. Only when identification is gone, that is when I fall asleep. And all the notions about the self are gone, and I enjoy freedom. It is freedom from the notions. Each notion makes me feel confined or limited. So even a person in deep sleep enjoys freedom. What talk a wise person who has become free from this identification? He always enjoys freedom. This one enjoys freedom now and then when he falls asleep. But the wise person enjoys freedom all the time. This is what Yajnavalkya said to Maitreyi. Then coming to page 28. साहोवाच मैत्रेयी अत्रैव मा भगवान् अमुमुहन् न प्रेत्य अमुमुहत् अमुमु अमुमुहत् न प्रेत्य संज्ञा अस्ति इति सहोवाच न वा अरे अहं मोहं ब्रवीमि अलं वा अरे इदं विज्ञानाय सा मैत्री होवाच. Maitreyi, who was taught by Yajnavalkya in this manner, then said, so Maitreyi is either asking question or Maitreyi is asking question for clarification of general public. Sometimes a question is asked because there is question, or sometimes a question is asked so that there is clarity in the mind of others. In the Bhagavad Gita, in the 4th chapter, Lord Krishna says, Imam vivasvate yogam, hey Arjuna, the knowledge that I imparted to you today, I imparted at the beginning of creation the Vivaswan, etc. So, like an innocent person, Arjuna asks, how can it be, Lord Krishna, that one who is sitting before me, how could you have given Upadesha to Vivaswan at the beginning of creation, which was millions of years ago? How can it be? How can that be here, or how can this one be then? So, why did Arjuna ask this question? So that Lord Krishna had an opportunity to talk about avatar. So thus, sometimes question is asked to bring out an important point. It may not be the question of the one who asks it. but it may be a question of that should arise in our mind. Sometimes a question should arise in our mind, and some, there was somebody asked that question. So Maitreyi also says, just here you have thrown me into confusion, sir. Saying that na pretya sanyasti, after departing there is no consciousness, you have thrown me into confusion. Na pretya sanyasti, that having departed there is no sanya or the consciousness. You have thrown me into confusion. You may lose consciousness. On one hand say that I am conscious by nature, prajnana gana. And then you say that I will have no consciousness. You follow Maitreyi's question? See line 24 on that page 24. Read. You turn the pages because we are already reading on that page, that passage. Okay. So page 24, line 24. 28. Ah, that is why. Sorry. I said, how come people keep turning pages? Page 28, not 24. Line 24, yes. Purvam vijnana gana evadi pratignyaya. So Maitreyi says to the Ajnalaka, sir, formally you say that I'm pure consciousness, vijnana gana. You say that my nature is pure consciousness. Now you say, na pretya sanyasti, then having departed from this body, there is no consciousness. On one hand, you say that I am the nature of consciousness, and now you say that after departing or from this body or after this knowledge, there is no consciousness. How the one of the nature of consciousness not have consciousness? Purvam vijnanagana evedi pratignyaya. First you told me that I am vijnanagana, pure consciousness. Punah na pretya sanyasti. Now you say that having gained the knowledge, there is no consciousness. Then how can I be the pure consciousness and after knowledge I have no consciousness? How can a nature of consciousness does not have consciousness? Do you follow the question? Maitreyi says, on one hand, you say that I am the nature of consciousness, and then you say that after knowledge there is no consciousness. How can it be that I, who is of the nature of consciousness, have no consciousness after knowledge? Nivushna Sitasya Agni. How can it be that fire, which is hot, also becomes cold? Cannot be. The one that is conscious in nature does not have consciousness. It's like similar to saying that fire that is hot becomes cold. How can fire be hot and cold? No. Ataha mudasmi atadevar. I'm totally confused here, sir. Meaning you are confusing me. She is wife after all, though she has some liberty. Generally, a disciple cannot say this to the teacher, you are confusing me. Arjuna went almost that far. Vyamishrena vakyena buddhim mohasiva me. By your Vyamishrena, your vakya statements, which have more than one meaning, looks like, you are as though confusing me. He was very humble. This is wife, she says, you are confusing me, you confuse me. She can take that liberty. A disciple cannot take that liberty with the teacher, should not take liberty with the teacher. You're confusing me, Even though there is all love and freedom, and there are still boundaries always there. Always maintain the boundaries. Apparently, Maitreyi does not seem to have maintained the boundaries, saying that you are confusing me. But Yajnavalkya did not object to that. He said, no, no, I'm not confusing you, my dear. I'm not saying anything confusing. Certainly, I'm not any confusing, my dear. What I say is what it is. Na pretya sanyasti. After departing, there is no consciousness, is what I mean. What consciousness? The particular consciousness. The notions about the self are no more there. Pretya means departing, meaning having gained the knowledge of the separateness of the Atma from this body, mind, sense complex. That's the real departure from the body. Not departure that we have when when the body dies, because that is only to establish connection on the body. The real departure is the final departure from the identification of the body. When that is there, there is no particular identification at all. So giving by identification, there is no identification. And no that means that all the notions arising from identification are no more there. So even when the wise person is in the body, he doesn't have notion that I am tall and short and man and woman and this and that. They are the notions arising from identifying the body. I'm great, I'm small, the notions arising from identifying the ahankara. I'm so and so. So that kind of notions the person no more has. That is called sanya. Sanya means notions about oneself. Hey Maitreyi, when you gain the true nature of your knowledge, true knowledge of your nature, which is big prajnana gana, which is nothing but pure consciousness, you become free from all these notions that I am so and so, I am somebody, this person's daughter, this person's mother, this person's wife, sukhi dukhi, all these notions will go away. Because each of these notions is creating in us a sense of confinement, a sense of limitedness. Every notion. Even to say that I'm a sovereign, I am the king of the whole universe, even that is also limited. Because you are the king of this universe, but not king of all the three universes, isn't it? Nistvo heka shatam shati dashatam. A verse in Sanskrit says that the person who doesn't have any money, nisvaha. Swa means money. Nisvaha heka shatam. One who doesn't have anything wants 100 rupees. Talking about many centuries ago, 100 rupees was a lot of. Now 100 rupees is nothing. Shati dashasatam. Shati means one who has 100 rupees, dashasatam, he wants 1,000. Laksham sahasradipaha, one who has 1,000 wants 100,000, a lakh. That was like billionaire those days. Now he is all lakshesha, pundarindratam. No, lakshesha, the one who has all the wealth now wants to be a king. A king wants to be sovereign. A sovereign wants to be Indra, the king of heaven. Indra wants to be Brahma. Brahma Vishnu Padam. Brahma wants to be Vishnu. Hari Harapadam. Vishnu wants to be Shiva. Trishna Vademko. There is no end ever to Trishna or craving. And therefore the Trishna doesn't go away as long as there is some identification. There never is satisfaction with the self, regardless of how big you think you are. If you think that you are Vishnu, then you still think that Shiva is bigger than me. I want to be Shiva. If you become Shiva, then I don't know what will happen. But You are something. However great you are always limited, and therefore there cannot be satisfaction with the self. Therefore, hey Maitreyi, you become free from all those notions. Each notion creates the dissatisfaction with the self. Become free from notions, become free from all self dissatisfaction. Meaning that you are completely satisfied with yourself. Atmaneva, Atmanatushtaha, the one that is satisfied by oneself, with oneself. And when I am satisfied with myself, there is no scope of any sense of lack or want, and therefore there are no desires or demands. So, as you discover satisfaction with yourself, the result is that the mind becomes progressively free from demands, free from expectations, free from dependence. Means you become free. Freedom is a freedom from dependence, and dependence always brings about a desire. So, desire is a sign of inner dependence. Freedom from desire means freedom from dependence. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan. He partha, a wise person, is the one who has become free from all the desires, all dependence, all demands, all expectations, all needs. That's how Vedanta gives us the picture of an ideal person who is free from all needs. Doesn't sound very exciting, Swami. So what? One who is free from all the needs because he is happy with himself. To the Vedikas, this looks like a wonderful thing, but to some, this may not necessarily be very appealing to everybody. But the ideal is to be happy with oneself, by oneself. Thus, are free from all needs, all expectations, all demands, all dependence. That is the description of independence or freedom or moksha. Moksha is a simple thing. Moksha does not mean that if you walk 6 inches above the ground or something. Moksha, inner freedom, not outer freedom, inner freedom. Outwardly, we still remain bound, meaning that if we are driving on the road, we have to follow the traffic rules, whether it's wise person or otherwise person. A wise person also, when he comes down, he must use a ladder, he can't jump. Meaning that becoming wise does not mean that one becomes free from the rules of the life, of the nature. He doesn't care also. Not that he wants to. That's not how freedom is defined. Freedom is not the freedom to do what you want to do. Freedom is freedom from the need to do what I want to do. No, Swamiji, then would you follow somebody's order? Why not? Would you follow all the laws? Why not? Following law is not dependence. Following law against my will is the problem. Who are you to tell me to do something? Otherwise, if you tell me then I do it, okay, no problem. I don't become small just because I do something for you, but who are you to tell me? That kind of resistance. So, na pretya sanyasti, having departed from this body, having become free from identification, na sanya, no notion remains about the self. Thus, moksha is described as freedom from all notions about the self. Sanya, as we would translate it in our way, is the notions about the self. Hey Maitreyi, you will have no more any notions about the self because notions arise from identification with his body mind complex. Pritya become free from that identification. No more notions. No more sense of confinement. No more sense of limitation. You are liberated. You are free. Maitreyi wants to clarify that maybe other people may not quite understand. So, Sahovacha Maitreyi Atrema Bhagavan Amumuhant. Your Venerable Sir has confused me here by saying that I will not have any consciousness at all. And you says, no, I am not. Moham Bravimi, I am not telling you something that is confusing. Alam Vare Idam Vijnanaya. Whatever I have said is quite adequate for knowledge. Now, Katham Viruddharmatvam Avochaheti. Why do you tell me all these contradictory things? On one hand, you say that I am of the nature of consciousness, and then you say that there is no consciousness after knowledge. Namayayadam ekasmin dharmini. I didn't say these two things about the same entity. Maitreyi says, on one hand, you say that I am the nature of consciousness, and then you say that after knowledge I will not have consciousness. Yajnavalkya said, you are prajnanagana of nature of consciousness. And say that, hey Maitreyi, after knowledge you will not have consciousness. So, word consciousness has two meanings. First, consciousness means of the nature of prajnanagana, consciousness. Second word consciousness means the notion about the self. But what sanya is used here, sanya means consciousness, awareness. And so when Yajnavalkya said you will no more consciousness, what Yajnavalkya meant is you will have no more notions about the self. But Maitreyi wanted further clarification for the general public. And therefore she said, on one hand you say that I am of the nature of consciousness, and then you say that after knowledge I will know consciousness. What do you mean? This you are confusing me here. Then on the again page 28, line 28, says Yajnavalkya, Namayadam ekasmin dharmi abhitam. When I say that you are consciousness, I said to one aspect of you. When I said you know consciousness, I said that about other aspect of you. You are of the nature of consciousness. When you will not have consciousness, I said about the ego, that ego will have no more notions. Pashrikar gives a very long explanation, but I think it is very clear to us now that what Sage Agnog is telling Maitreyi is that you know notions about yourself once you gain the knowledge. So there is something that Pritya, something subject to destruction here and something not subject to destruction. What is subject to destruction? Ignorance is subject to destruction. And therefore, notions born of ignorance are subject to destruction. But the self, which is ever indestructible, is not subject to destruction. Now, hey Maitri, when I said that there will be destruction of your ignorance and of your notions, but you who are prajnanagana certainly is eternal. स आत्मा सवस्य जगत है परमात्मतः भूतनाशात न विनाशी. You are the self that is self of all the universe, and therefore when this body mind sense complex is no more there, you don't get destroyed. You are indestructible. This body is destructible. When that is destroyed, you do not get destroyed. alam vare idam vijnanaya. Hey Maitreyi, what I have said is quite adequate for the knowledge. Idam vijnanaya idam mahatbhutam anantam aparam yatha vyakhyadam vijnanaya vijnatum alam. That what I say, that you are infinite, limitless, boundless consciousness, but that's all you are, and that is enough for the knowledge. If you see this line, page 29, and the line number 9,